Good morning, children. Good morning, children. Welcome to St. Mary's School. Here is history class, and today we'll be deliberating on history as a subject. Under this, we will be looking at sources of historical evidence. Sources of historical evidence. What is a source of historical evidence? A source of historical evidence is where information about past activities are kept. A source of historical evidence is where information about past activities are kept. And we need a source of historical evidence to remember the past. Without the source of historical evidence, there's nothing that we can remember, that we can celebrate in the present. So we need them to remember the past and therefore celebrate the past in the present. Now let's quickly look at the sources of historical evidence. Number one, we have records, books, and papers. Record books and papers. Activities and events are recorded in books and papers so that at any point in time we can have access to those information, so that we can be informed about the past activities and events. So record books and papers are also very important and are sources of historical evidence. Number two, we have video recordings. Video recordings. We record videos so that in the future, people or the generation unborn, the children, can have access to information through them. So it just left to you to slot your either CD or cassette into whatever machine that can play a cassette or a CD, and then you get information about whatever has happened in the past. So video recordings help us to be informed about the things that have happened in the past. Number three, we have pictures taken. With picture taking, we quickly and immediately remember the people that were present at a particular occasion. Because with pictures, we see faces of men, and therefore that we could maybe forgotten. And immediately you see their faces, you remember them. Or perhaps you are not around, but with pictures, you get informed that, yes, these are the people who partake in this particular occasion. So pictures taken are also very important in remembering the past event. Number four, we have oral traditions, stories, and songs. Oral traditions are traditions that are narrated with people's mouth. So they tell you about things that have happened orally, and you also hear. You hear those information orally. They say it to you, and you also hear them. And through their oral tradition, you are informed about the things and activities that have already happened. So oral traditions become a source or sources of historical evidence. We have stories when our fathers or our grandfathers or grandmothers, elderly, tell us, and with storytelling, you get information about the things that have already happened. We also have songs. People tell a lot through songs. As you listen to songs, it gives you information about the things that happened in the past, and so you are informed. Number 5, we have painting and drawing. Paintings and drawings. Painting and drawings tell a lot. Somebody can just draw and paint and gives out information, or the person tells through painting and drawing his feeling or her feeling, or the event that have happened in the past, either sad event or happy event. The person expresses through painting and drawings, and if only if you are able to decode the information, then you are informed. You now acquire those information about the past event. So these are sources of historical evidence. So now let's go and look at some examples of these sources of historical evidence. Alright, so talking about sources or example of sources of historical evidence, we must know that the record books, as we enumerated in the first example, are books or papers that contain information about the past. They help us to remember when the event took place in the past. So as example, we can see here that we have birth certificates. Number 2, we have death certificates. We have newspapers. We have marriage certificates. And we have attendance register. Attendance register. Birth certificate tells us exactly when the person was born, and it gives us every details and information about the person's birth. We also have death certificate. It tells us when exactly the person was dead, and it gives us every information about the person's death. Newspapers record events that happen in the past, and with newspapers you can be informed about the things that have taken place in the past. We also have marriage certificate. It tells you the people who got married and the number of people, who got married, and the marriage pictures that also tell you the number of people who were present at that occasion. All right, so in number 5, we have attendance register. It tells you the number of people who were present on that very occasion. All right, so these are examples of record books and papers as what sources of historical evidence. Now let's look at some 3 pictures that fall under record books and papers. Let's look at them. Alright, so these are some examples of record books and papers that give us remembrance, or that help us to remember the past. We have birth certificates. So this is how a birth certificate in Ghana is designed. So you can see the birth certificate sample here. That gives you every information about a person's birth. We only have a wedding certificate or a wedding picture that tells you about the people who got married and the number of people or the faces of the people who came or partake into the occasion. We have newspaper. It records information about the things that happen, and as you read the newspapers, you are also informed about those events. So it gives you a clear information about the activities and events that have happened. So these examples are sources of historical evidence. I wish you read the slides and to watch the video and develop understanding over this lesson, the sources of historical evidence. God richly bless you. See you next time for another lesson. Goodbye. Bye-bye.